on getting technology done.
You seem to be focusing on the technical side, but in one of your previous interviews, I heard you say that one of the most exciting things for you about President Obama was how he puts his values into the, how his values are reflected in the people he hires, and you try to also build those values into the way you conduct the campaign. Do you think his values are maybe also reflected in this massive surveillance operation that is going on?
We don't know any specifics about the NSA stuff, which I'm not for by any means. However, we do know that it started pre-September 11th. So since it started that long ago, I don't think that the entire program is based on the president's values. Now the question is, and this is a question that I put to anyone, is when we're talking about defending against terrorism, which ultimately I think is a catch-22, right? Because you don't want to take a program away that is saving people and creating a safer environment. But at the same time, I truly believe that we all have right to internet freedom. I believe we shouldn't be surveilled, etc. But it's very hard for me to say there should be none of that if it is in fact making the world a better place. So the question that I have for anyone is, how do we prove that either it is working? Because if it's working, then the conversation's suddenly very different. And if it is working, my worry then is scope creep, because data when it comes to mass surveillance has not necessarily played well when we look at history. And my worry is that the scope creep is my worry.
Mm-hmm. Well, it leads me to my next question. In one of your recent op-eds in the New York Times, you said that we've done things that transformed elections, but we now need to work to carry out transforming the government. And I wonder, how far do you think that process should go? It's one thing to build a good campaign or a functioning healthcare website, but would you be in favor of, for example, of a digital democracy? Yeah. People weighing in on all sorts of subjects?
I think that I am a big believer in hope. And so I think that we could take a very negative view of many of these things, and we could say, yes, if we allow everyone to comment, it's just going to be terrible. But I don't think that will happen. I think that it can be very positive. I think that adding more technology, allowing more people to participate will be positive. And if you look at what the internet has done all over the world, worldwide, it has democratized access to information. And so the fact that I can post a blog and you can comment on it, my mom can comment on it, and some young person in South Africa can comment on it.
But it's not just about commenting, it's about deciding whether your country has to bomb Syria, for example. I mean, that's a crucial issue.
So let's get to that point. But we're not at that point now. We can't use the internet to do digital democracy.
Why not?
Well, the technology is not there.
But voter registration would allow that. We can have digital IDs. You can have those digital elections once every 4 years.
But aren't you worried about digital IDs?
I don't know. I'm asking you.
I'm not. So I think we can get there, but I don't think we can get there today because I don't think it's going to work today. Because I don't think that the establishment of all countries want that.
But in principle, do you think that's even possible, not just for the Americans, but for democracy in any other country, to actually get people involved in that process on such a substantial level?
Yes.
Because it could make politics totally dysfunctional.
Or it could make it work very much better. I mean, I think that I think in the US we come from a different place when it comes to data and the internet. And we don't have a lot of the aggressive historical or cultural history that shows how data can be abused. And so when we come...
Well, you certainly do now.
No, but we don't. Sorta. But we don't have any... no one sees the ramifications in the US.
Is it because people are just not informed enough, or they simply don't care?
I don't know. I think they don't care. I really don't know. I don't understand it.
But if people don't care and you give them all that power in making those very consequential decisions, can you imagine where it's going to lead all of us, not just your country, but the rest of us as well?
I can't comment on it because I don't know, right? But I do know that I am a little disappointed in my peers in the U.S. because many of them don't care as much as others do. And there's a lot of people who do care. Like there's a good group of people who are standing up, doing a lot of documentation, a lot of that. But I do think there are opportunities for the internet to continue to democratize access to everything. Mm-hmm. And so we can create a world where we're democratizing access to all the good things. We can create a world where it's only fear and being driven by fear. And I choose the positive route.
Now, I know that you're in favor of the unmonitored use of the internet for everyone, but I wonder if you think that's really an achievable goal at this point of time, because there is a lot of digital inequality in the world. Some countries are far ahead technologically than others, and I wonder if you can really ensure that...
Well, when you make a list of all the countries with fast broadband, the United States is not number one. So I think that there is a lot of digital inequality in the world. I think there's also a lot of general inequality in the world. And I think I would like to increase, I would hope that by giving more access to more information, more access to more education, more access to early childhood education, et cetera, that we can create a better world for everyone. Obviously, people also need water. So, there's a lot of problems in the world that need to be solved. I personally can help solve technology.
Well, you can help solve technology for political campaigns, and hopefully the way you change this world is through politics. But you mentioned some of the reservations about Americans and how informed or involved they are in the world affairs. Did you have any of those reservations when you were allowing a candidate of your choice to take power? Because
but you're very adversarial about somehow I allowed the candidate.
Well,
I chose to work for the best candidate that we had, which I supported 100%. And there's many choices that the government has made that I don't necessarily agree with. But there are a majority of the choices that the government has made that I do definitely agree with. And so, do I like everything? No. Do I like almost everything? Yes. Am I happy that I have friends that are in Afghanistan? No. Do I hope that maybe that will make the world a better place? Yes. Could I have made a different choice? Sure, but I think I made the right choice. And so we can go in this circle where apparently I made the wrong choice for you, and I don't think it's going to get anywhere because I disagree.
Well, you're entitled to your choice regardless of my opinion, but I guess my point was that going back to the NSA program, your country is the leading democracy of the world, and obviously the fate of the rest of the world may be somewhat dependent on who is elected in the United States. So if you felt so passionately about him back then, obviously that entitles you to some sort of responsibility, even though I don't say that in an adversarial way.
I think it entitles me to some responsibility, and I'm not claiming that. I think it's important to note, as I said, that these programs started well before the president came into power. And so the responsibility that I have is to make sure the best person is in control of this power. Yes, and so if I'm constantly double guessing myself, then that's not electing a leader. You elect a leader so that you hope that they will do good once they have that power. And of course I can say, I wish things would be different. Like when the Patriot Act happened in the early 2000s, I was very frustrated. When all of this surveillance obviously started, when it got outed in 2006 or 2008, very frustrated. When Edward Snowden's revelations came about, yes, of course, very frustrated. That doesn't mean that the president is suddenly a bad president. That means that the president has more responsibilities than we thought. And so I hope that he makes the right choices, and I trust him to do so.
Well, Mr. Reed, thank you very much for your perspective, and if you like the show, please join